Hello and welcome to another episode of Crunching Chaos. I'm your host Nick, and across the table from me is my good buddy Jay.
Hi, everybody.
Once again, always across from me.
Yes.
So,
even when he sleeps.
that's so creepy.
So Nick doesn't even know what to do right now. I just threw him completely off.
Nope. I'm locking my bedroom door from now on. So we are continuing our house series, and we're moving on to House Sanctum.
Oh, good.
Which House Sanctum is becoming one of my favorites, and they're really interesting because when I first started playing, I remember I was talking to another friend of mine. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure Sanctum is like a support house. Like all their cards, like they just support things. It's weird, but like later it became more of a main house, and like I didn't understand why. What do you think about Sanctum? Just general.
I always saw them as a support, not a support, a main house. I always saw them as a main house. They do a lot of stuff, and maybe it's just the decks that I've had that I've played them with. But I always feel like if I can set it up right, I could go 2, 3, 4 turns sometimes without dropping any other cards and just playing Sanctum.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Sanctum guys are beefy and have a lot of armor, and it's hard to kill them.
Yeah.
So they tend to survive. So turns where you start a turn with like 3 Sanctum guys, and then you just reap. That happens pretty often.
Yeah.
Now, so what I've been doing since I've been playing, I noticed something about a difference between the commons and uncommons for House Sanctum.
Go on.
So if you really look at the commons,
Yes.
the commons are support cards for the most part.
Okay.
We'll bring in some examples. So, Cleansing Wave.
Yeah.
Action. Heal 1 damage from each creature. Gain an amber for each creature healed this way. It's healing. It's a support card. Granted, that card is mostly for gaining amber, but
Yeah. No,
support style.
yeah, okay. So Bulwark as a creature has 4 power, 2 armor, and each of Bulwark's neighbors get +2 armor. Support.
Very much a support card.
Yeah.
Some amber control. We got Terms of Redress. Choose a friendly creature. Capture 2 amber. Shields of Justice. Gain an amber, another action. For the remainder of the turn, each friendly creature cannot be dealt damage. Granted, it's a Sanctum card.
Yeah.
But if you have cards like, we'll talk about this one, which is very much a support card, a Commander Ramil, it's usually friendly non-Sanctum creature. So you can Shields Justice, use Commander Ramil to use another non-Sanctum creature to attack.
Yeah, Champion Anafield, 6 power, 1 armor, has taunt.
Yep.
So your neighbors can't be attacked unless they have taunt. Like that's a support.
Protect the Weak.
Yeah.
The creature gain it. It's an upgrade. Gain an amber. The creature gets +1 armor and taunt.
Right.
Again, about protecting neighbors. Sergeant's Accio, 4 power, 1 armor. You may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. Like you look at all these commons, all 16 of the commons, and a lot of them really speak towards support.
So back to my point about going 4 turns with only doing Sanctum, I think this is the reason, right? Is because you can have all these common creatures. Let's just stick with creatures for a second, because this has kind of been my thing. You can have all these common creatures which are like boosting each other up, and they can just sit out. Nobody can really touch them, and then you're just like reap, and you're just reaping for amber.
But all that speaks towards a support house.
Yeah.
It sounds like a support house.
But it's almost main too, right? Because they're doing all this work. Yeah.
Yes. Here's why. Where the main house comes from is when you get down to the uncommons. The uncommons are all very powerful, not support cards. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are.
All right, let's take a look.
So, let's talk about some creatures. Let's talk about Champion Tabris, one of my favorite cards in the game.
Go on.
6 power, 2 armor, fight, captures, and amber.
Yeah.
It's a very main house kind of card. Frankus, 6 power, 1 armor. After an enemy creature is destroyed while fighting Frankus, Frankus captures an amber. You have Gatekeeper, 5 power, 1 armor. All these large creatures that exist in the uncommon slot. The rest of him he's 5 power, 1 armor. If your opponent has 7 or more amber, you capture all but 5 of it. So you capture and you get a creature. Cards like, Grey Monk is very much a support card.
Yep.
but he's also very, very powerful. We need to talk about him. He's 3 power. Each friendly creature gains an armor. Important, he gains the armor too.
Right.
And then reap to heal 2 damage. The armor is the important part, because a lot of times that really throws off that combat math or that damage, and they definitely
Yeah, and I think
some guys harder to
we've
kill.
brought him up on an episode before, specifically talking about the Horseman, because he is stupid good with the Horseman. I saw a deck, because generally I would say, because we're going to talk about him, right? Because this is where Horsemen play, is in Sanctum, and so I would say he's good overall, but then when he gets out with those Horsemen, he's really good.
Specifically Pestilence,
Yeah.
who deals 1 damage to the board, and suddenly your guys are negligible to that.
Right.
It negates that.
Yeah, it's really crazy good. And then I saw that was like when we were at PAX. I saw a deck like that.
And then in the uncommons, you have a bit of some crazy amber gain.
Yeah.
Virtuous Works.
Oh my god, I
just
love
gains
that
3
card.
amber.
I love that card so much.
That card is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I found that I'm not going to be able to name all of them, but each house has a card in it that can gain them 3 amber. But all the other ones have to do work to get it. Virtuous Works and Sanctum, it just gives it to you.
Yeah.
You have Glorious Few. For each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, gain 1.
Right.
Like, Sanctum has a lot of powerful creatures, but they also don't have a lot of creatures.
Yep.
So you play this, I've seen people gain tons and tons of amber. There's good artifact control out of Sanctum with Gorm of Orm. It's Omni. It's an artifact. Omni, sacrifice Gorm of Orm, destroy an artifact. Or Whispering Reliquary, which you played on me the other day. I forgot that this thing, I thought it was a Hollow Blaster. Hollow Blaster is it's a common artifact action, heal 3 damage from a creature. The Whispering Reliquary is artifact action, return an artifact to its owner's hand. That card is stupid good. As for other main house cards, you have some really good removal. You have The Harder They Come, action play, purge a creature with power 5 or higher. You got Amber Control and Doorstep to Heaven. Gain an amber. Each player with 6 or more amber is reduced by 5. Now it's important because somehow this comes up a ton when you play this card. When you play a card, you always gain that bonus amber first.
Yeah.
So it happens to me all the time where I'm on 5 amber. I play this, I gain my amber, and then I immediately have to use it. But my opponent can't use it either. And this is one of the things I really like about Sanctum, and that is making me start to choose to lean towards them being like one of my favorite houses, if not my favorite house. Is between Gatekeeper, there's probably other ones I'm not thinking of, but you have Gatekeeper, and you have Doorstep to Heaven, which are cards that no matter how much amber your opponent has, playing this card guarantees that they cannot forge a key on their next turn. Because there are plenty of cards where it's just like, I steal 2, or even Bane Switch. You might not steal enough for them to stop them from forging a key. These ones guarantee it.
Yeah. The other thing I think, it's funny because while we're talking, I'm trying to think about why I like Sanctum. Sanctum is definitely one of my favorite houses. And I think what it is there's just all my decks that have done very well or do very well, I feel like have Sanctum in them. Or even, maybe not well, but the ones I've had success with and that I like to play. And like stuff like Oath of Poverty, like that's one of my favorite cards. And so basically Oath of Poverty is you gain an amber when you play it. It's an action. And when you play it, you destroy each of your artifacts. And you gain 2 for each destroyed artifact. So I have a deck, I think I counted 12 artifacts in there, plus this Oath of Poverty or something ridiculous like that. I think I played you against that. And it's just like, oh, okay, here's all my artifacts this turn. I just gained, let's see. Oh, I have 10 artifacts out. That's 20 amber. And there's ways to take it away, of course, but it's still good to be that up.
It's a great finishing blow.
Yeah.
Like you're approaching the end of the game. Those artifacts aren't necessarily going to be useful anymore. Might as well cash them in.
You know, and I was thinking about this a lot. So I think we talked about it on an episode a few episodes ago that I finally got a couple Horseman deck, right?
Yep.
I got 2. And I played you with both of them, and the one was pretty good. It wasn't great out there, you know, for the world, but it was good. And it held, I think you were using one of your better decks. So like what you consider
Probably
your best deck, maybe, I thought you said. And I played you with the Horseman deck, and it kept you at bay for a long time. And I was thinking about this more and more, and I think we a lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on the horsemen. It's like main things of a deck. But what I found out with that deck is they were just really, really good support. Like I set up other combos and set up other board scenarios, and then the horsemen just came in and like emphasized what I was doing and like just made it better.
They facilitate a lot of things. Like the horsemen are very good. I personally don't like them, but they have some really nasty combos
Yeah.
within Sanctum. For instance, like you have Horseman of Pestilence and Cleansing Wave that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's like you activate your Pestilence to deal one to everything, and then you just keel it all off and gain a ridiculous amount of amber. I played against a deck that had 3 Cleansing Waves in the Horseman, and it was just ridiculous because he was gaining like 6 or 7 amber, and I was able to control him to a point, but
Yep.
eventually that raw gain just did me in.
Yeah, well, in that horseman deck I have, I think it plays with Untamed, and it has the oh shoot, I forgot the name of the card, but the card that destroys each creature with damage on it.
Save the pack.
Yeah. So
It's Untamed action play, destroy each damaged creature
Yeah.
and gain a chain.
yeah, and so like I think I had Horseman of War, Horseman of Death, and Horseman of Pestilence out. I never got to Famine. No, I never got to Death. I had Famine out, and so I ended up pinging everybody for one with Horseman of Pestilence. Then then I could drop that card and just clean it up. I was so good. There's some really they're more. I like them from a support perspective, if that makes sense. Now that I've played with them, they're not. So like in Magic, if you were to build a deck, they're not pieces you would build a deck around, but you would put them in because they would support what you're trying to do with the deck.
So the thing I don't like about the Horsemen is they don't really fit with what Sanctum is generally doing. But
Agreed.
the fact of the matter is they're so good that they do well. Like dealing 1 damage to everything is not something that Sanctum generally does.
Right.
Destroying creatures is not something Sanctum generally does.
It is an odd house to put. You would think of them as more of a dis house, so it's a very, very weird that they're in Sanctum.
It adds this really interesting element.
Yeah.
So the thing that really drew me to this sort of conclusion is that the uncommons are what make the house a main house. Is one of the decks I have. It's called, I've talked about it before. It's called Wounding Snake. Snake is in quotation marks. Tycho, Tycho, if anybody wants to look that up. I believe it's 8 out of the 12 Sanctum cards are all uncommons. And the deck is really powerful. It's one of my favorite decks, and I didn't quite understand after I looked at it. After I was doing this podcast, and I looked at the comments, and I'm just like, all these cards are support. Why do but they don't feel supporty in this deck. So I looked at this deck. Most of the cards are uncommon because the main house aspects are mostly in the uncommon slot. Now there are common cards that very much fill that role. So the 2 big ones are Raiding Knight and Sequius. Raiding Knight is a 4 power, 2 armor. When you play, he captures an amber. Sequius is the exact same thing, except when he reaps, he captures an amber. There's also Staunch Knight. Staunch Knight I hate. I do not like this card at all. It is situational. It is annoying.
Yeah.
So he's 4 power, 2 armor. When he's on a flank, he gets +2 power. He doesn't do anything. He is a straight vanilla creature.
Yeah.
And he has to be on a flank. So he does not play well with Protect the Weak at all.
No.
Because he can only protect 1 creature and still stay on the flank.
Yep.
And it's such a pain to try and keep him on the flank so that he gets that bonus. I don't like him. But at the same time, he can be a real strong beater.
Yeah. I also like Sergeant Ezekiel. Like he's 4 power, 1 armor. When you put him into play, you may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. This is real strong with Brobnar and Untamed, especially if you got something out that can smoke some guys on the other side.
To go along with that, another common that's the same thing, but as an action, but better, Inspiration. Inspiration is an action play, ready and use a friendly creature. Now, you do not need to fight. You can do anything. This card facilitates combos between houses. It is extremely strong. So Another deck I have. It's called. It doesn't matter what it's called, but it's got Cell in the Fence in it, and Brobnar, and Sanctum.
Yeah.
So, the Sanctum part has an inspiration, and 2 terms of redress, and then Cell in the Fence.
Okay.
So, you're able to, because of inspiration, use terms of redress to capture 2, inspiration or Selwyn, so that you can actually gain one of those amber.
Oh,
And
that's
then maybe next
interesting.
turn
Yeah.
you choose shadows, you take another amber.
Yeah, I was just looking through it, and one I saw that was interesting that I can't remember if I played it or I saw someone else play it. The Vault Keeper.
I played it. I have that card.
Oh, you okay? So four
Love that
power,
card.
1 armor, and your amber can't be stolen,
Yes.
dude. It's really good.
Yes. So it's extremely good. It's one of the reasons why. So the deck that I bought, it's called Ringleader Mean Martin, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why it's a deck that I bought online, and one of the reasons I bought it is because they had Vault Keeper,
Yeah.
because I wanted to play with that card. And this is something we're going to dive into when we get into Shadows. Stealing is extremely powerful. I think it's the most powerful thing you'd be doing in the game. Even though I said in the Logos episode, archiving is the most powerful. Archiving is the most powerful in general, but right now stealing is the thing that wins games because
Yeah.
there's no consequence for it.
Right.
And I think the Vault Keeper is like the only thing, because it just
Stops that from happening. Yeah.
if you throw down the Vault Keeper and your opponent has shadows and they don't have a way to deal with that, it makes all of those cards that steal really, really, really bad.
Yeah. What was another one? I've never seen this in the open, but I saw was interesting when we were looking through. So, Vimos Lightbringer, 6 power. When you put it into play, destroy each elusive creature. So good, so good.
I like this card a lot.
Especially when you're playing Shadow or even Untamed or somebody where you got elusive and you just can't get rid of them. Like, oh my god.
Well, another rare, Jehu the Bureaucrat. So he's 3 power. I have him in a deck. He's 3 power. After you choose House Sanctum as your active house, you just gain 2 amber. This
Yeah.
guy is so good. Your opponent has to deal with him. Otherwise, you can just choose Sanctum every turn.
Right.
And that's, if this guy is in play, that's guaranteed 3 amber.
Yep.
Because you reap with him and you gain 2 just for choosing Sanctum.
Yeah, I like it. Let's see.
I would really love to find a knight deck. So a lot of the creatures in Sanctum are knights, which is cool. It's thematic. So let's run down a quick list. We got Bulwark in common, Champion Anafiel, Commander Emil, Protectrix, Raiding Knight, Sequius, Staunch Knight, Sergeant Zachiel is too.
Champion Tabris.
Champion Tabris, Frankus.
Doom of the. Oh no, she's not a knight. She's dressed like one though. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, Doom of the Martyr.
Yeah.
Gatekeeper, Lady Maxine. Lady Maxine is really cool. Lady Maxine is 5 power, 2 armor. Play stun a creature. Action, you can return her to your hand. Who else? What other knights have we got?
Lord Golgotha.
That guy's insane. If you start with him on the
5 power, 2 armor. Before the fight, deal 3 to each neighbor of the creature he's about to fight. Oh my gosh.
great for taking out taunt guys or taunt creatures that are protected by a taunt creature.
So is there before we go on to the other knights, is there knight decks? Is that a thing? Oh wow. Okay.
So they're cards that facilitate. So the last two knights are Sanctum Guardian. He's
Yeah.
a 6 power, 1 armor, taunt. Fighter Reap, you can swap him with any other friendly creature in your battle line. This is something that gets around the have to play a creature on the flank, so you can protect who you need to protect,
Yeah.
and you don't have to set it up. And then finally, the Vault Keeper that we talked about was a knight. So there are a couple of cards that are specifically for knights. First one, it's the more easy one. Round Table. Very thematic. Knights of the Round Table. Each friendly knight creature gets +1 power and gains taunt.
Ooh.
Which is, like, if you have a ton of knights, that can be not great because they might just be taunting each other and it negates the taunt. But the +1 power is awesome. And then finally, you have Epic Quest. Epic Quest is Sanctum's Forge a Key instantly card. It is an artifact. It says when you play, you archive each friendly night creature in play. And then as an omni ability, if you have played 7 or more Sanctum cards this turn, sacrifice Epic Quest and forge a key at no cost. I have a deck with it. It unfortunately only has like 3 nights in it.
Yeah.
So it never goes off. But this card is you archive all your nights, and at some point you pick up that archive, you choose Sanctum, you play those cards, you earn a key for free.
Yeah.
I just spotted another night creature that I'd never seen before.
Oh.
Or another night card. Honorable claim, action. Each friendly night creature captures an amber. So I would love a deck that's just knights.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it.
I think that's really it for Sanctum. I mean, for closing thoughts is, I think one of the reasons why Sanctum, like, it's becoming one of my favorite houses. It is for you. I think part of it is that they're tough to deal with.
Yeah.
This game is so well balanced in that every card has a counter. Every card, you build up a board, it gets wiped out.
Yep.
You you put out a powerful creature, it gets destroyed. You start forming a strategy, your opponent interrupts it.
Yep.
This game is very, very back and forth. But Sanctum, the way they're designed, they have staying power. And so they don't have the most powerful abilities, but I think the ability to keep them out there so that they can keep doing things, so that you can play, you can reap with them and sometimes benefit wars, or you can just reap with them for amber.
Yeah.
While they're protecting other creatures. They have this awesome mix of supporting the other houses, supporting themselves, while still having that that main house feel of still having that board presence, of still being able to help you win the game that a lot of the support houses don't have.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I'm trying to, we've been talking about it. I'm just trying to I just always feel it's gonna sound funny, but I always feel protected when I have Sanctum in my deck. Like I always feel okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna have answers. I'm not really worried about this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so, well, what makes a good Sanctum deck? I was like, I still haven't quite figured that out.
Yeah.
It's like, there are cards that I definitely don't want to see with other cards sometimes. Like, I don't necessarily want Shield of Justice all the time because I don't always have attackers.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily always want Take Hostages, because Take Hostages is, we haven't even talked about that one. Common, gain an amber for the remainder of the turn. Each time a friendly creature fights, it captures 1. That's super situational. But for the most part, you want like some combination of beefy creatures who protect other creatures.
Yeah.
You want ways to capture, ways to control amber with like also Gatekeeper and Doorstep to Heaven in terms of redress that just instantly captures while gaining you an amber.
You know what it is? I think it is too, is like, okay, with Shadow and some of the other ones that do a lot of capture stuff, most of the creatures that are capturing or most of the things that are capturing aren't that strong. Like if you look like at Bruno, right? Like he's a 3 power and he captures 3, but you can get rid of a 3 power pretty quickly. Where I feel like they have a lot of capture, but then you can put it like, like what's terms of redress, like it's an action, you put it into play, you choose a friendly creature to capture 2. You put it on some of these knights, they got like another knight next to him and stuff. Good luck ever getting that amber again.
Your opponent has to put in a lot of work to get that amber back.
Right, board wipes one way, but really how many board wipes are there out? You know what I mean? And so I just feel like, yeah, any of my Sanctum decks, I'm just like, oh no, I got Sanctum, I'm going to be okay. Like I know I can kind of hold my own. And I wonder if that's why maybe the Horsemen are in there, because Sanctum's just a strong house that, I mean, if you really think about it, as much as I love Shadow and Untamed actually is a very fun house for me, Sanctum is just that, like, it's almost, I almost feel like it's like your building blocks of your house, right? Of a home, sorry, because house is home. But it's almost the building blocks of a home where if I can have Sanctum in my deck, and then if maybe Shadows or something else is pretty good too, I feel like that's going to be a solid deck. Just because Sanctum is so just baseline strong to hold up your deck.
Well-rounded.
Yeah.
I mean, looking through these cards now, it's just like they have amber control, they have stunning, they have your opponent loses amber, they have capture amber, they can destroy creatures, they have beefy creatures, they protect other creatures. It just sort of does it all.
Yeah, and you know, like sorry, I was just looking at these two decks that I just got, and I was trying to think, like, okay, so this one that I just bought a couple decks, and this has Mars Sanctum Shadow, and like I went through the Sanctum, and I mean, it's Cleansing Wave, Inspiration, One Stood Against Many, Terms of Redress, The Harder They Come, Virtuous Works, Frankus, Protectrix, Sequest, Sergeant Ezekiel, Staunch Knight. I'm like, yes, please. This looks awesome.
Yeah, that deck looks
And
really good.
yeah, and then I didn't even get this Shadow, right? Which has a ton of great stuff in it too. It was just like,
Your Shadow's okay.
this is the one, isn't this the one with two skeleton keys?
It is. It's got 2 skeleton keys and a Selwyn.
Yeah.
Selwyn is the creature that you can reap. It's just reap, right? And then
Yeah.
you take an amber that's captured and put it in your pool. And then skeleton key is the artifact. It's an action. You have one of your creatures capture an amber, so you can. It's a combo right there. The reason why I don't like that deck is it's got 2. It's got a Secret Needle and 2
Pawn
sacrifices and no bad penny.
Yeah.
That feels awful.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think there's other things. I guess there's not much you can kill. But anyway, so, you know, this is just... Well, we got to play that. I got to pop it open and play it. But I still think that's a good deck just based on Sanctum.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Sanctum pool sounds really good.
Yeah. So, anyways.
So, yeah. I guess the conclusion is play more Sanctum. Like,
Agreed.
a lot of people hate on Sanctum. They don't do anything. I think they do a lot.
Again, I think they're the base for you to build the rest of your deck on. If you have a good Sanctum base, you don't need a great Sanctum base, just a good Sanctum base. I think it's just going to make your deck that much stronger.
Yes. You're definitely going to have answers for things.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to do it for this episode. So next time we're going to dive into Shadows, and that's going to be a real interesting podcast.
Yeah.
So until then, everybody take it easy.
Go Sanctum.